Hello.
Hey.
This question is for Bob Budiansky. There's certain comic book stories that have just kind of stuck with me my whole life. I remember, and one was the original Marvel Comics Transformers, Into the Smelting Pool. Into the Smelting Pool.
Oh, yeah.
Get a little closer here.
Yeah.
I was wondering what your inspiration was behind that story.
Oh, okay. So he's asking about a story I wrote called Into the Smelting Pool, which I think was Transformers number 23 from Generation 1, which happens to be my favorite story that I wrote in my entire run of Transformers stories. What was my inspiration? It was a couple of things. Okay, number one, as Transformers became successful, Hasbro kept rolling out another line of toys like every 6 months, another 20 or 30 toys or whatever. So I had to figure it. So we had the original Transformer treatment of a spaceship crashes on Earth, the Ark crashes on Earth, and all the Decepticons and all the Autobots that are going to be fighting each other are in that particular spaceship. Except for all these new characters that Hasbro introduces 6 months later or a year later. So I had to figure out a way to introduce new characters. That was my first story that took us to Cybertron. And the gimmick in that story was that there was a space bridge that the Decepticons were building to so they could send more Decepticons to Earth for whatever reasons. So that was the underlying reason for that story. So I could create another method of creating more or bringing more Transformers into the comic. The actual inspiration for some of the action in the story and some of the events in the story and the structure of the story was an old movie based on a classic book called Gunga Din.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so if you look at the climax of that story and you compare it to Gunga Din, it's very similar. That which brings up another point, which is as a writer, I was always looking for inspiration from any place I could find it. So whether it was a news story, a movie, an old book, an old movie, something I saw on TV, something I remember from my childhood, something I did for vacation last year, I would bring those elements into what I was writing because that's you write based on what you know, and based on your experience and the stimulus around you and all that. So that particular story I remember specifically, that was the inspiration for it, partially.
Thank you. I need to go check that movie. I don't think I've seen it in a really, really long time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, it's from like the 1930s.
Yeah.
It's a classic.